exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. It is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. We're coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. What a beautiful day to be in the land of the living. I am Adana Kambi and I'll be taking you through our program this morning. We're always so happy when you choose us on the mornings, whether you're getting ready for work, getting the children ready for school, or just starting your day. It's always a pleasure coming to you wherever you are this morning. So we want to say good morning to all of you who are viewing us on our Facebook Live, on our YouTube Live, or on Amplia 102. A blessed Tuesday morning to you, even as we head on into a long weekend here in Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, we have a wonderful program for you this morning. And of course, before we get into that, we have to head on over to the news in 90 seconds.
News in 90 seconds is brought to you by Standards, never beaten on quality and prices.
Thank you, Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Tuesday, May 28, 2024. The Progressive Democratic Patriots leader Watson Duke has criticized Tobago's healthcare system. He expressed a loss of faith in Dr. Faith B. Israel, the Secretary of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. During a press highlighted several tragic incidents at the Scarborough General Hospital, attributing these incidents to poor management and lack of expertise. Duke called for Dr. Faith's removal, emphasizing the need for a reliable and consistent health care and promising not to let these deaths be overlooked. Minority Leader Kelvon Morris, during a press conference, criticized Tobago's healthcare system, particularly highlighting the failure to operationalize the Roxburgh Hospital. He blamed Dr. Faith B. Israel, the Secretary for Health, Wellness and Social Protection, for inefficiencies due to the hospital's function. Morris condemned both Dr. Israel and Chief Secretary Farley Augustine for neglecting the needs of Tobago East. He also alleged that despite requesting more funds for the Roxburgh Hospital, the administration misallocates these funds. And finally, in the 2023 report of the Auditor General on the Public Accounts of Trinidad and Tobago, Juanita Ramdas highlight a wasteful expenditure of over 52 million on a property for the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution that was never used. Despite spending 23 million on outfitting and 29 million on rent, the building remained unoccupied due to the landlord's refusal to build a protective wall. The Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, expressed frustration over the wasted funds. The report detailed that in 2023, the Office of the Attorney General spent 17,836 on outfitting the office. Rent payments totaling to 29,250 from May 2019 to August 2023 ceased in September 23 when the building became vacant. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Life is good with Zero. Zero interest for 6 months. Zero down payments. Zero stress payment plan. That's right. With Standards, my terms, we are putting the power of zero in your hands. Now, you can get that new sectional, fridge, stove, or TV for zero down. Pay zero interest later and enjoy a zero stress payment plan plus quick approval within 48 hours. Standards, never beaten on quality and prices.
Thank you, Biana, for our news there in 90 seconds. And, of course, coming out from the news, we're talking about our healthcare system. And recently we've been talking about crime, and now we're talking about the healthcare system here on the island of Tobago. And it seems as if there's always something that we have to address. And now we're hoping that there's some measure of accountability where situations keep arising and happening and continuing seemingly without answers to questions. How do you feel about this, Biana?
Well, with the healthcare system, there's always some teething problems, right? And I'm hoping that, in as much as the both parties, which is the Democratic Patriots and the PNM, they have issues with how the current administration is dealing with this situation. I think they could put forward some solutions or some suggestions for the current administration so things could run smoothly.
And I want to agree with you because I'm kind of tired of the blame game. We always pass in the buck and casting blame on the others. And I think it's time, especially when we get to these types of situations where lives are at risk, that we need to have some collaborative effort where we can come together, sit at a table and have a strategic plan in terms of moving forward to intercept behaviors, situations like this, so that we can preserve lives as best as we can. I mean, the Roxborough Hospital, I don't know what the situation is there, but we're hoping that things can be put in place so that we can have fully functioning situation there, so that people can go to that hospital for whatever reason that they're coming to Scarborough Hospital,
especially those in the east.
Exactly. So we're hoping for some sort of resolve there in the soonest possible time, and let's stop the blame game. Let's sit together. What we want is a better Tobago for all of us in the end. All right, thank you, Biana, so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're heading on over to our birthday shoutouts. Yes, our birthday shoutouts. And on screen and celebrating a birthday today is the beautiful Aria Reynolds. Aria is celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Aria. We pray God's blessings upon your life. We pray that you enjoy your day today. Don't forget to ask mommy and daddy for anything you want today. As they say, today is your yes day. So whatever you say, get them to say yes. Happy birthday to you, Aria. And on screen, we have Kelly Taylor. Kelly is celebrating a birthday today. We want to wish you the very best of your birthday today, Kelly. We do pray God's blessings upon your life. We pray that all your heart's desires are met and that all your dreams come to fruition. Happy, happy birthday to you. Chantel Bing is also celebrating a birthday today, and we want to wish you a very happy birthday, Chantel. We pray God's blessings upon your life. We pray that you progress, and we pray that you do enjoy all the things that come with celebrating a birthday today. And finally, this is a belated birthday, Patrice Jofield. She celebrated her birthday yesterday, and so we want to say happy belated birthday to you. And we hope the celebration continues throughout the entire week. I mean, we have a long weekend this week, so let's see how the celebration goes. To all our birthday celebrants, we say happy birthday to you. God bless you. And for those of you whose photos we don't have, we also want to wish you a happy birthday. I want to take this time out to say good morning to those of you who are viewing us again on our Facebook Live, our regular viewers. Pearl Murray Beard, good morning to you. Renrick Job, good morning. Marilyn Spence, Joe Field, good morning. Myrna Roberts Quashi, good morning. Auntie Dora Lyons, good morning. JSL, Boris Vincent, Lisa James, good morning to all of you who are viewing us on our YouTube channel. Robert McKenzie, good morning to you who are viewing us in Africa, wherever you are, Australia, the United States of America, Canada, England, wherever you are. Good morning and thank you for choosing the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. So you might be wondering, who are we having conversations with this morning in studio? And this morning we start off the conversation with Mr. Alan Stewart. He's the director of TEMA, Tobago Emergency Management Agency, and we're talking about disaster preparedness for the upcoming rainy season. We know that we've entered into the rainy season, and we're hoping to get some discussions in terms of how do we prepare in the event of a disaster. And then we speak with Gary Griffith, a former police commissioner, and we're talking about the THA policing service. We're having that new police service coming on stream as in conjunction with the Tobago House of Assembly. So we're having conversations there. Not only that, we're also talking about the fact that Tobago gets the GEB, which is the Guard and Emergency Branch units in here in Tobago. So we're having those conversations with Gary Griffith as well, as we get into, of course, protecting our island and ensuring that we are able to curb crime, all the strategies that are put in place and all the stakeholders who are involved. We're having that conversation this morning as well. So we do hope that you stay with us because, of course, we want to bring you all the details, all the insights, and give you all the information in real time as it happens. But we have to go for a short break before we start those conversations. And of course, before we go for a break, we have to invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Tobago, we reached the biggest comedy event of 2024, finally in Tobago for one night only at Shaw Park.
My body, and I'm not in the mood.
Yeah, but you haven't been in the mood for the last 6 months. Love is a Walk, which played to sold-out houses across Trinidad, is coming to Tobago for one night only on Saturday, June 8th at 8:30 p.m.
You promised this would be the last time.
Yes, I tell you, it's the last time, I swear.
You sure about that?
Tickets for Love is a Walk available at the Shaw Park Complex daily and at advertised outlets. Check social media for details. Shaw Park, Saturday, June 8th.
She ride the wave, come jump in the range, and drop funny dance, much your money mean. Don't need your love, that I cost if you pay. Like King Solomon, a bag a girl to me name. Every girl broke out, Lord, broke out. Me say hot girl, and that's your time to step out. Big bumper girl, your time to get struck out. Hand on your knee, you treat a girl and your body. Every girl I get wild out tonight. Party in my out tonight. If she suck, me a fine out tonight. I don't know what a wild out tonight. Out the blue light, I try out the back.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. And before we start this conversation, I just want to say good morning to Tobago Jojo, coming from all the way from Maryland, saying good morning to us here at the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. We see you, we acknowledge you. Thank you so much. God bless you. All right, we start our conversation this morning. We speak with Mr. Alan Stewart. He's the director of TEMA, Tobago Emergency Management Agency. And as you know, we've entered into the rainy season 2024. And so we're going to get some discussions going in terms of preparedness, disaster preparedness for the upcoming rainy season. We know sometimes when we have heavy rains, we can, experience landslides and flooding. So we're going to have that conversation right away. Good morning, Mr. Stewart, and welcome.
Good morning, ma'am, and good morning, all of Tobago. It's beautiful being here. It's a wonderful day in the Republic.
That's right. And whenever you're on set and in studio with us, we always get information. And so, of course, we've entered into the rainy season, I think, over the weekend.
Correct.
They declared that we entered into the rainy season for this year. And so they also mentioned that we're going to be expecting a lot of heavy rainfall as well. And so, which is good because, as it is
Yes.
from the water conservation aspect, of course.
Water needs it.
Yes, we need that water. But in terms of the potential or the risk of flooding and landslides and all these types of things, heavy winds perhaps, we're going to have that discussion this morning.
Certainly indeed, we'll have that discussion.
Right.
It means a lot to us. It means a lot as it relates to preparedness. We have an opportunity to do just that. I recognize, or we should recognize, that this month of May, the National Disaster Office would have declared the month of May. This has been happening for several years now, where we look at the Hurricane Preparedness Month. And therefore, only last week and this week, we will see TEMA and the rest of stakeholders getting involved in this level of trying to ensure that the rest of the population is quite prepared for the upcoming hurricane season.
Okay, and what type of season are we looking at in terms of the hurricane season? I don't know how they measure, the intensity of the winds and the rains and where the hurricane blows, but in terms of tracking so far, what can we expect in this season?
What the meteorological services is indicating that we will have another above and beyond season of hurricanes with storms. There are over 18 storms, excess of 18 storms have been identified this year. And as a result of that, you have maybe between 3 to 5 of them can become what you call catastrophic hurricanes. These named storms must be understood, understand exactly the severity, what do you expect from a storm. Storms can be categorized as circulated winds or winds that are in circular motion that exceeds 39 miles per hour. When winds get to that extent, you have what is called a storm on your hand. When it gets to beyond 74 miles per hour, you have what you call a hurricane on your hand. It means that the winds are stronger. When they get to category 3, there's where you start looking at a major storm. And as a result of that, preparations for such major events can become a little more intense in the sense that you require a particular type of reaction to such notification. You will want to look at preparedness as a period where you do certain things. You ensure that you make yourself a hard target. What is a hard target? It means that when you understand these wind conditions, you're making the necessary arrangements that your homes, your businesses, your place of work, and also the general infrastructure is one that has a level of resilience that can withstand these hazards. Hydrometeorological hazards are very common to us. We would have seen as to the opening of the rainy season, the declaration was made this weekend gone, and immediately you saw incidents, 2 incidents I recalled, one generated out of winds and the other, a tree fell onto a residential property. Now, there's the dichotomy. Sometimes the tree is not the owner, the persons who is impacted by the event itself sometimes are not the owners of these trees. It means, therefore, we have to now be our neighbors' keepers. I want to take this opportunity to remind that level of responsibility. It goes along with caring for not just yourself, but also your neighbors. So if you have a tree on your premises and you recognize that tree, if high winds were to take it and it may fall on your neighbor's property, then you can be held responsible for it. It's your property that is damaged and another person's property. Now may be the appropriate time to do the necessary trimming, falling if necessary, and there are tree cutters out there who can be engaged to assist in this regard. There are many other areas that we have to pay attention to. As in my opening remarks, I spoke about the sectors without using the word. But when we talk about residential property owners, then we speak about the workplace, we talk about businesses, we talk about the public sector. All these are varying sectors that must understand that they have a responsibility where preparedness is concerned, and to do what is imperative to ensure that there are certain levels of resilience. We pride ourselves at TIMA where we envisage Tobago to becoming that type of island where we consider it to be resilient, inclusive, adaptable to our changing environment, and therefore it is necessary that we now leverage with strong governance arrangements to ensure that we leverage whatever resources that are available to us and move it towards where you have disaster risk being reduced. That is our vision. That is our vision at TEMA, where we sustainably manage those resources, and in so doing, you leverages towards disaster reduction.
All right, two things I want to follow up on. One, you spoke about, probably having trees that look as if they might fall if we have strong winds. Is there an opportunity for the homeowner, the residents who has this tree on their premises to call on TEMA to make an assessment to say, well, okay, yes, we think you should probably, do you give that measure of advice, or is it up the onus on the residents to decide, I'm going to trim this tree, maybe I should, nothing is wrong with the tree, I should leave it? What is the relationship there in terms of, advising and making recommendations? Also, are you able to provide that service as well to assist them in cutting or falling the tree?
So while my answer is no, in the sense that TEMA is not responsible for your property. The property, whatever is your property, it is your responsibility. But yes, the advice in terms of giving advice, our CERT teams normally go out, and sometimes where there is a complaint, sometimes the person who is making the complaint is not the owner of the tree. They are being threatened by the tree, and therefore they make a complaint. Sometimes we have to reach over and, carefully navigate the situation where we give advice to the homeowner. Look, your tree is threatening this person. And sometimes the fallen leaves, the debris from the tree falling on the person's property, things like that. It also constitutes a particular type of health hazard, public health hazard, where your droppings from your tree are maybe interfering with somebody else's property. You may have the guttering being filled with the deposit of leaves, especially when you move from one season into another. You have a release of these leaves that normally with the first set of winds that we experience. You saw some of that over the weekend, where these dry leaves now leaves, and then you have that change, or what is known as autumn, where you have fresh leaves coming up. So you have those situations which must be attended to, in a particular way.
All right, and we also talking about, as you plan your strategies in terms of, put things in place to ensure that properties are safe. You mentioned that we should take our responsibility as well to ensure that we safeguard our properties. And I know, of course, you'd be speaking with other agencies who are in support of, trying to ensure a safe Tobago in general. All communities are safe, all homes,
That's
properties
right.
are
Sectors,
safe,
yeah.
are safe. And I know sometimes, especially in the east, we experience a lot of landslides, and you see debris in the road, or sometimes even in people's homes, you see where the soil is falling away and stuff like that. And I know a lot of residents have called and asked for assistance in terms of probably some sort of retaining wall, or I'm not sure what the conversation is now in terms of that outreach to the community to ensure that they know that these are things they need to put in place. If there's any type of assistance from all the agencies who are coming together, because things happen, and sometimes we leave things for chance, and we leave things for the very last minute. So in terms of preparing for any potential landslides in areas that are susceptible to that, is anything in place for that type of activity?
Yes, certainly. So we have been reaching out with some of the players in the sectors. For example, we have a very close relationship with the DIQUD. Up to over the weekend, myself and the secretary for that division, we had some discussions about hazards that needed to be attended to. Then you have the roles of the roadways, drainage to be looked at. For example, the removal of debris. Over the years, we recognize that has been going quite well, where the divisions have been going into those riverines, watercourses, and making certain clearance. We see the work is taking place. The removal of these debris is very critical. Then you have is it happening fast enough? No, we expect it to be a little more robust. We expect the other sectors, for example, the utilities, have a responsibility. You know, there are a lot of waste that are on these utility poles. They are causing a serious hazard in terms of the amount of waste lines that are not actually engaged, but remnants remaining on these poles that we know that every now and again cars, they become entangled with either fallen trees or in some cases some of the lines are pulled down by trees that are falling. As a result of that, T&Tech, we observe over during the dry season, they started their work where they have been doing these cuttings. That is the type of activities that we undertake with some of the utilities to ensure that we make certain areas a bit more resilient going forward. Is it enough? No, it's not. We need to do more. We have to, accelerate the response in a particular way where we think that we are equal to the threat. I did also mention the categories of weather that we can expect. We must prepare for that catastrophic event, or what you may call coming out of a major storms, with winds that are excess of probably 90 miles per hour, 110 miles per hour winds. These type of winds can cause severe damages. It means, therefore, for example, if there's a Category 3 event impacting Tobago, something similar like what we had during Hurricane Flora, it means, therefore, that there will be a number of losses. So in your home plan, it's imperative that we do the necessary to take care of ourselves, our community, our workplace for at least 72 hours. With widespread damages, you have a significant amount of impact that will exceed the capacity of first responders that are so designated. We have, for example, we have a CERT program. We have seen a loss in terms of the manpower that is readily available, sometimes are not readily available on a daily basis, in terms of what you will consider to be able to deal with 3 and 4 incidents simultaneously. That is heavily impacted. You go around in all of the emergency response services, they have the same complaint about manpower. And therefore, it gave us the opportunity to engage what you call CERT 1000 strong, where you have volunteers that are being trained within the communities to be able to take care of their communities in a particular manner. What is important apart from the training is tooling, giving them the necessaries that are to undertake certain risk factors that may pop, certain incidents that can occur in the community. For example, if you're living on the north side, on the windward ends, you expect to have land slippage, slope failures, fallen trees, fallen power lines, things like that. How do you distinguish between the both, in terms of the utility lines? Those are critically important information that you want persons to know and to be able to identify which is which to keep themselves safe. Then that speaks to PPEs, the personal protective equipment. So tooling becomes, those are the 3 major areas that we are working. We have started with, we have over 600 and something persons that have come forward and registered. Over 250 persons have been trained already, and we continue to bump up the training. It means, therefore, that we have to collaborate with our handlers, such as government. As I said earlier on, that sustainable development means that you leverage and your resources in a particular way in order to satisfy disaster risk.
Right. I mean, that's a lot of information there. As we prepare to, as you said, we might experience some storms.
Just one.
Just
throw
one.
us back.
Okay, just one, is enough to set us back a little bit. And so we're really happy that you have started putting things in place. And it's nice to know that also communities are coming together, volunteers are there to assist as well. Remember, we have a responsibility to ensure that our properties are in good standing condition. If you have any sort of debris around your home, get rid of them, because you don't want those high winds taking those things and sailing them across to your neighbor's property. If you have trees that look weak, let's try to trim them and let us look out for each other. I wish we had more time to have more conversations, but of course we'll of course have another conversation again on this show to get more information and more insight. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Mr. Alan Stewart, the director of TEMA, Tobago Emergency Management Agency, as we prepare for the hurricane storm season that is already in the atmosphere. We're in the rainy season, so we can expect some strong winds and some strong rains coming. Let us take care of our personal property. And stay tuned to TEMA for more information as it relates to this. Of course, Tobago Updates will have that conversation again to bring you more insight and the progress as we head on steadily into the rainy season. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to take a short break before we continue conversations this morning. And as we take this break, of course, we invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Need a fresh start? Upgrade your life with the things you want. At Standard Distributors in Canaan, life is good with zero. Get that amazing fridge, the stylish sofa with zero down and easy financing. Your dream house is within reach. Visit Standard Distributors today. Life is good with zero.
Deltec Distributors Weekend Special. Wings Friday, 3 pounds wings, 2.5 kilogram fries. Special 100 TT. Soup Saturday, 2 pounds cube beef, 2 pounds cow heel, 2 pounds chicken foot, 2 pounds pigtail, or smoke bone. Special $150. Super Sunday, 3 pounds leg and thigh chicken, 3 pounds sliced pork, 3 pounds lamb slice, 3 pounds cheese, 2 pack of pasta. Special $250. Located Main Road, Argyle, Tobago. We deliver 20 TT. Contact us on deltecdistributors.com 395-5040 or 237-0102. Deltec Distributors Weekend Special.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adana Kambi, and it's just about 7:29 a.m. So if you're getting to work for 8, you have just about 31 minutes to drop the children off to school and to get yourself safely to work. Remember, the operative word here is safely. Practice safety on our nation's roads. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we continue conversations this morning, and of course, we're speaking with Mr. Gary Griffith, and he's a former police commissioner here in Trinidad and Tobago, and we're specifically talking this morning about the Tobago House of Assembly Secretary, the proposed police service, as mentioned by our Chief Secretary, Fali Augustine, here on this very program, and of course in the public spaces. And so we want to get Mr. Griffith's take on this situation this morning. Good morning, Mr. Griffith, and welcome.
Hi, good morning to you. Good morning, Tobago. Always my pleasure.
Always a pleasure having conversations with you as you bring insight and your own opinion on situations that happen in the public space, especially as it relates to crime, being a former commissioner of police. And of course, you know the situation in Tobago, especially over the recent past, where we've seen a surge in crime. In fact, crime has been escalating over a period of time. And for the past couple of weeks, we've had some serious criminal activity here on the island. And of course, it drove our stakeholders into action to suggest and propose some strategic plans that they can put in place to govern or at least to curb crime here on the island. One of them being, of course, as the Chief Secretary mentioned, Tobago-based policing service that will deal with specific aspects of crime. And of course, we want to get your take on this as well. How do you see this working, or do you see it working and its feasibility?
Well, again, good morning. Very innovative, thinking out of the box there by the Chief Secretary. And so let me clarify. This here, what he's speaking about, having a THA police service, it is by and large similar, if you could look at it on par with Trinidad, where you have the municipal police. So that municipal police works in the regional corporations, and so the police officers will be working directly or indirectly with councillors, with mayors in different districts and different boroughs. And with that, the municipalities, it allows that those individuals who have that responsibility in Trinidad as it pertains to their town, their borough, their city, that they can now have some link immediately with police officers to deal with the basic day-to-day concerns of policing and security in that area. And it works. It works in Trinidad to some extent, where the mayor will have certain concerns because people will be coming to him. And with that now, he will have his own, that police unit that will be dealing with patrolling the markets, the towns, the cities, or whatever. And Tobago now, so this will be almost on par to the municipal police in Trinidad. And Tobago never had that. So it allows some degree of control and responsibility that the politicians would have to assist in giving directives to a law enforcement agency that they may not be able to have to such an extent with the bona fide Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. But let us not believe that this is going to be the be-all and end-all. It is something that is very innovative. But the problem lies, going back to Trinidad, being a previous minister and being a previous commissioner of police, the problem lies in that if there's not a degree of synergy between the municipal police and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, it is just going to be cosmetic, and it must not be so. Because when I was commissioner, it was very difficult to be able to interact with the municipal police because they basically report directly to the mayor or whoever is in charge of that region. So with that now, it is hoped that even if you have this THA police service, there must be that degree of interaction with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and not just be a separate unit. Because if you do that, it will just be nothing more than a glorified security company.
And what are some of the discussions that have to be had between the TTPS and this new THA, as you said, is the same level as the municipal policing? What are the conversations that they have to have? Because you're quite right, there must be some guiding principle in terms of how do we roll out responsibilities. And at the end of the day, policing really belongs to the TTPS. And in as much as we want to, it works in the Trinidad instance, and I'm sure it will work in the Tobago instance, because more hands on deck, of course, should make the work lighter. But at the end of the day, there must be a conversation in terms of who does what. The reporting, yes, the THA new policing service has to report to the Tobago House of Assembly, but do they report to the TTPS? Do they have conversations with the TTPS? And how does that relationship have to roll out for things to work effectively?
And that spot on. That is exactly the point. If it is that you do not have that degree of communication, you can have one hand not doing what the other is doing, and then you could have duplication of effort. So you bring in 200 members of the THA police service, and then they are now doing something almost identical to what has been directed by the ACP for Tobago by the TTPS. It means now you're getting the duplication of effort and not utilizing the resources in an effective and efficient manner. So and that is the problem we have in Trinidad, where the municipal police and the TTPS, there is absolutely virtually non-existent as it pertains to communication, dialogue, patrols, operations. So you will have a major event in Woodford Square, and you'll have a host of municipal police officers. They are stating that these are the number of officers required, and the TTPS, being aware of it, will have the same thing, because the municipal police have never been involved in that immediate interaction with the Commissioner of Police or even the ACP for that specific region. So whereas you have the head of the municipal police in Port of Spain, he's not meeting on a regular basis or a daily basis with the ACP in the Port of Spain region for the TTPS. So that is why it is very important that to avoid that mistake that is taking place in Trinidad, you have that degree of dialogue, making sure that the ACP, I'm not saying that you must report, but police is police. The TTPS is supposed to be the bona fide factor as it pertains to policing. So you form another unit trying to state, well, they will just do what we want and not be able to work in tandem with the TTPS. You're going to have duplication of effort, and you're not going to be able to utilize the resources in an effective manner.
In the event that this conversation goes well and the TTPS and the THA comes to an agreement and they understand their roles and they function in synergy, of course, it is going to go well. You mentioned your support for it. You mentioned earlier that it's a very innovative idea, and it can work once the conversation is had and once persons understand their roles and functions. Now, some are saying that the THA does not have, there's no act in the THA that allows for the establishment of this particular installation of a THA policing service. However, we see the need for it, and you have mentioned that you agree with it and you think it can work once it is done properly. And you know, sometimes the policy makers and the policies kind of keep things back. What is your position where this stands? There isn't something in the act right now that allows for it. However, it is necessary at this time, and once done correctly, it will work in Tobago. So how do you feel about the fact that there isn't anything in the act to allow for it? Should we proceed with it, or how do you think this can work out for the betterment for all of us here in Tobago and Trinidad by extension as well?
Well, definitely. I always stated when I was Commissioner of Police, I stated that a safer Tobago always ensures a safer Trinidad, because if Tobago crime increases, you have to extract resources from Trinidad to take to Tobago, and now Trinidad will be affected. So in this situation, definitely, as I mentioned, if there's not dialogue, the Commissioner of Police must have buy into it to be able to understand, appreciate, and welcome and embrace such a unit in Tobago. The government must understand it. The Minister of Local Government must have a big part to play to understand that, look, what I have seen the value of police in Trinidad, and Tobago does not have something that equates with it. So let Tobago have the same thing, because remember, Trinidad does not have a House of Assembly, but Tobago does not have municipal committees. So it is almost on par. So the same way that you have seen the value of it in Trinidad through the municipal policing, you obviously can't say, well, let's not have it for Tobago, because what is it that equates with municipal policing in Tobago? There's nothing really, and that is why it means that Tobago by right should have the same type of police units similar to the municipal police in Trinidad. But by doing that, we also need to ensure that we don't have the mistakes of the municipal policing, whereas persons can be appointed, because they had a lot of issues in Trinidad because of lack of resources, lack of support, lack of recognition, and lack of funding, and they came to me on a regular basis. So we do not want the same situation where THA will bring something, and then all of a sudden there will be a shortfall with the police officers in resources. My take has always been, it is not that Trinidad and Tobago needs to increase quantity as it pertains to numerical superiority in officers. We have more police officers in Trinidad and Tobago on par with the population than most places in the Americas. So it is not to increase quantity, it is to enhance quality. So even though this is important, it cannot just be hiring persons and they are semi-trained in understanding the aspects of law enforcement. They must be highly qualified and trained to ensure that they can be of value and an asset towards the security of Tobago. So this is where it is. Going back to my point, it is hoped that the government, that will be really and truly, they will be critical to ensure it is approved. I don't think that the THA may have that authority. I'm not too sure. But if it is, you have to make amendments in the Constitution to give such an avenue. well, then the government must buy into it. The government should approve it because you have done it for Trinidad through the municipal policing. So by and large, you should do the same for Tobago.
I totally agree with you, and we do hope that they have those conversations very soon so that I can come on board in the soonest possible time. I'm enjoying the conversation with you so far, Mr. Griffith, but we have to go for a short break. We still have another topic to discuss. We're going to take a 2-minute break, just 2 minutes, so that we can, get into the next part of the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Mr. Gary Griffith, former police commissioner, and somebody who has a lot of intelligence as it relates to dealing with crime, especially here in Trinidad and Tobago. We continue in the conversation, and we hope that you stay with us while we go through this discourse to get some information, some insight, and of course, some ideas from Mr. Gary Griffith. Stay with us. We'll be right back. But in the meantime, we ask you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
I can't live without you, I can't be without you for too long. Cause when I'm around you, I feel like the heavens has come down. I feel it in my soul every time we on the road is a miracle. A million strong come together.
Rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adana Kambi, and we continue conversations this morning with Mr. Gary Griffith, former Commissioner of Police here in Trinidad and Tobago. And now we continue the conversation as it relates to crime on the island of Tobago and the strategies we are putting in place to ensure that we can manage and contain the situation, bringing Tobago back to a safe and serene place. And now the conversation continues. We're speaking about Tobago getting the GEB, which is the Guard and Emergency Branch. We heard the Prime Minister mentioning that he wants to, partner and send across a unit, the Guard and Emergency Branch, to Tobago to assist with the crime situation here. What is your take on this and his approach where this is concerned?
Well, it's just only, and it's sad, I hate calling my country a banana republic, but it's only in a banana republic where politicians try to make full directions as it pertains to policies for law enforcement. You are not qualified. Keith Rowley, now we have what is known as a National Security Council. The National Security Council comprises politicians. So you have these individuals with no training, qualification, knowledge, or expertise in national security and criminology. So they just come up with these wild ideas. And that is why after 3 years, all that this National Security Council has done is to focus on forming audit committees to target political opponents and not deal with illegal firearms. This is no different. It is as dumb as you can get. The Guard and Emergency Branch is a tactical unit specifically trained as it pertains to law enforcement to deal with suppressing criminal activities in hostile or volatile situations. That is not the situation here in Tobago. So putting the Guard and Emergency Branch is very cosmetic. What is required is intelligence-driven policing, predictive policing, policing where it is that you can analyze and utilize your resources in an effective and efficient manner. So the GB is something that is individuals that will turn up there because of crowd control, dealing with carnival, dealing with a riot, dealing with a situation of a volatile situation where you can actually face the enemy. That's what the GB is about. But it shows how clueless this man is as a prime minister. But he continues to boast that he's chair of the National Security Council. He boasts about this. He says that more than stating he's the prime minister because he wants to be a James Bond. But he's James Clueless. He doesn't have a clue. And the reason I can state that is that the problem that lies with Tobago as it pertains to crime has to do with intelligence gathering, not putting big, strong persons with shields and riot gear that the GB is involved in. So you send the GB there, and what they're going to do? Walk around Storby with tasers and pepper spray and tear gas and big shields looking for criminals. That is not the situation in Tobago. Tobago, the crime that is taking place is very clandestine. Individuals who will hit and run. They will be able to commit a crime, whether it be rape, murder, robbery, and then ride out. The GB is not going to be of any value. That is their qualification and their training, which is important, by the way, because they've proven to be very effective in dealing with major events, carnival, crowd control. That is not what Tobago needs. It shows the man is as dumb as you can get. What is required is what we had in 2021 when we sent the Special Operation Response Team to Tobago, if you recall that. And it was put on headlines on several occasions. SWOT started sending the criminals back to Trinidad, because what SWOT wasn't just strong persons with riot gears and shields and tear gas. What it was, we had an intelligence unit in SWOT that was able to send undercover officers, persons into the underworld, looking at the dark web, using technology, and then pinpointing who are the perpetrators, who are the individuals who migrated from Trinidad into Tobago, and then sting operations and started pegging them back. That is how it is done. What is done as well is trying to be able to find a shield, a dome around Tobago by putting proper elements and systems to prevent illegal firearms leaving Trinidad to get to Tobago. So as I always mention, it is so laughable and I could not have done it as the Commissioner of Police, but it's something that I had set to do as a Minister of National Security. Persons will have to walk onto a boat to get to Tobago, and you have to go through a walk-through scanner because you don't want to have the person with a weapon. But every single car that enters to go on it is not checked, because we're supposed to have K9s. We're supposed to have the mobile scanners that I provided as the Commissioner of Police to help the incompetent government. So that mobile scanner will be next to every car that enters Tobago, and that mobile scanner will be able to pinpoint if there are weapons on that vehicle, if there are drugs in that vehicle. We formed a National Operations Center in Tobago to monitor using the cameras to look at 24/7 to ensure that we can see if there are criminal elements, put in facial recognition at the airport. So we have the photos of all the major gang members in Trinidad. If they come to Tobago, we can immediately pinpoint them, see where they're living, see where they're going, so we can be able to monitor the migration and suppress them. Those are the things that getting drones, getting the covert operatives, as I mentioned. Those are the things that, and also putting a special DNA lab in Tobago to be able to pinpoint that if there's a crime, immediately we won't have to wait 7 years as what takes place in Trinidad, whereas it takes 7 days in other parts of the world. It'll take 7 years for the DNA results to come out so we can pinpoint the perpetrator. Those are the things that were required. Finally, looking at a 999 system. I don't know if you're aware, you call 999 in Tobago, it has to go to Trinidad for them to pick it up, and then they will call a station in Tobago. By that time, the criminal has already gone back to Trinidad. You need a proper system with a number that any Tobago citizen presses that number with a 3-digit number. He goes to an operational center in Tobago, where you will now have an emergency response patrol to respond within less than 5 minutes to that distress call. That is how it worked in Trinidad and Tobago, that ensured in that period, 2020, 2021, it was the highest reduction in violent crime in 17 years. And those are the things that are required. So we had the Special Operation Response Team. It suppressed crime in Tobago. Tobago, I think this was the safest it has ever been in over 15 years in that period. You remove SWOT because of your lies, and then after trying to bring in the GB, which is an operational, overt, tactical unit, and that is not what Tobago needs. Tobago is not in a war zone, in an open war zone with criminals. The criminals are hitting and running, so that is the type of systems that we need, not the GB.
So, of course, expressing your disagreement there with that proposal to have the GEB here in Tobago. I know some of our viewers had mentioned that we don't want to militarize Tobago at this stage, of course, but the primary concern for residents here in Tobago is ensuring safety, because at the end of the day, we want to feel safe to walk across by the parlor, by your neighbor, even to get to your car outside your house. Sometimes is something that we have to consider as being able to do in safety and comfort. And so now you're talking about different strategies and different mechanisms that can be put in place. One of the areas that is very porous in Tobago is our borders. And I think you mentioned having scanners and stuff like that on the port itself, but there are borders where things enter without detection. And so what is your strategy? What is your ideas in terms of strengthening those areas?
Well, it's not really ideas. As Minister of National Security, I had that set up as well. When it is that the PNM were trying to purchase 3 OPVs at the cost of $2.4 billion, when I did the homework and I did the research, because the PNM loves a road march, everything is the OPV. And because of them being totally clueless, ignorant, if not corrupt, in trying to justify that OPV, we were paying $2.4 billion for 3 OPVs. When I looked at the cost-benefit analysis as it pertained to the maintenance, it would have been hundreds of millions of dollars per annum. Because of the size and the things that we had to do to refit different parts of Stobles Bay and so forth. And then it was the same cost in Colombia, Korea, and Israel was $1.2 billion for the same thing. So there's $1.2 billion in overhead. And additionally, so what I did is I acquired damming vessels, and these damming patrol vessels, one was to be assigned specifically to Tobago. In fact, the name of that vessel was in line with something in Tobago. And that damming vessel would have been there to do exactly that. They have refused to do that, and I acquired those vessels since 2014. So 10 years later, a vessel of that magnitude, equivalent to do the same thing that the OPV could have done at 1.2 billion less, is still in Trinidad and Stobles Bay that should have been in Tobago. And 10 years, the government has done nothing to put the facilities to ensure that that type of vessel can remain in Tobago. Like, additionally, remember I formed the police marine unit, and the budget I put was to make sure we had a powerful team with vessels in and around Tobago, not just to deal with patrolling our borders, but to assist Tobagonians in case of any natural or man-made disaster, having a police marine branch that was shut down decades ago that I brought back after about 30 odd years. And that marine branch would have been very powerful to assist in exactly what you're speaking about. Additionally, the concept of the drones, because when I brought in the Special Operation Response Team, I was acquiring drones, and the drones would have been able to turn night into day to lock onto a matchstick that enters Tobago's waters, and then we will be able to feed that into the National Operations Center and have an immediate response, not just by the police marine branch, not just by the damming vessel, but also police officers on the ground just waiting to intercept. That is how you deal with securing the borders of Tobago from the illegal ports of entry. The legal ports of entry I mentioned is not difficult. You have the mobile scanners that they have shut down and deliberately not used. Every single vehicle that enters the port to get to Tobago, it must be scanned to see if there are weapons or drugs. We have the technology worldwide to do that. And then, as I said, finally, not using the GB. So if somebody is robbing someone in a parlor, you're not going to send 20 GB men with riot shields and helmets to deal with it. This type of security requires operations, intelligence-driven operations, which is what the Special Operation Response Team would have done. Tobago, you will remember when we send those 50-odd officers there, all of a sudden the criminals started going back home because we started pegging them back and told them Tobago is out of bounds. That is how you deal with it. That is how I intend to fix Tobago, to clean up Tobago as soon as the government changes. And I will be working closely with the THA, similar to what I did as Commissioner of Police. On a regular basis, every 3 months, I will be meeting with the stakeholders as Commissioner of Police. Is that being done for the last 2 years? No. As the Minister of Security, every 3 months, I'll meet with Orville and communicating with him and the business sector, hearing their concerns. Is that being done by the present Minister of National Security? The answer is no. So people want positions in government. They want positions as Commissioner of Police, but they don't want to roll up their sleeves, do the job, and support Tobago. I intend to do so the day after the next general election.
Mr. Griffith, it's always so engaging having conversations with you. And you mentioned talking with stakeholders as it relates to curbing crime. At this stage, the situation that we have in Tobago right now, as we're trying to put strategies in place, do you think that there should be conversation with other stakeholders probably like the TT, the regiment, or whomever else, to assist to form some sort of, barrier to crime here on the island of Tobago?
Yeah, definitely. I started my military career being a lieutenant in Tobago, where you'll spend a 3-month tour of duty. It was the best part of my career in the Defense Force. But they can't just be staying up in a camp waiting for a war to take place. There's a lot more the Defense Force can do. Their role and function is not just to wait for a war to take place, but also to assist in an aid to civil power. So they can be involved in joint patrols with the police. That involves the Minister of National Security having the foresight and the political will to utilize the Defense Force. We have 5,000 members of the Defense Force. We have 800 in Air Guard in Piaku, and there's no aircraft, so they're doing nothing. We have over 1,000 members of the Coast Guard, and then we have the damning vessels not being utilized. And then we have 3,000 odd members in the Army who have been in camp waiting for a war to take place since 1990. There's a lot that they can do, similar to what is in Tobago. We're supposed to have at least 100 out of that 5,000 in Tobago, not just a platoon, and utilize them in in an effective manner to suppress the criminal elements. But as I said, we don't want to turn Tobago into a militarized zone. There's no need for that as yet. We need that definitely in Trinidad because it is a virtual war zone in hotspot areas. Tobago does not have that. What Tobago requires is predictive policing, pinpointing where the criminal is, what they intend to do. And we had that through using the dark web, through the 482 Gary, through online reporting, and allowing citizens to feel safe and comfortable. We have that problem now because at that time, what I'm speaking about, public trust and confidence in the police was 59%. So people felt safe to tell the police, this is the situation, this is the new guy who has now landed in Tobago, he's living here, he's selling drugs. Now public trust and confidence in the police is 8%. No fault of the police, by the way. Don't get me wrong. It has to do with leadership and putting systems and policies to get the public to trust the police. By doing that, that is where I speak about as the Commissioner of Police and the Minister of National Security. Every 3 months, you must be going to Tobago, meet with the stakeholders, meet with the business sector, meet with the police officers, meet with the religious organizations. If you don't do that, what you're going to do is make a stupid, ridiculous, knee-jerk system to say, let's send the GB to Tobago.
Thank you, Mr. Gary Griffith. We're speaking there with Mr. Gary Griffith, former police commissioner here in Trinidad and Tobago of the TTPS, giving his opinions and views and recommendations as it relates to crime in Tobago, curbing crime, relationships that must be formed, discussions that must be had, and alliances that must be formed in order to ensure safety in Tobago and that we reduce the rate of crime in Tobago. Thank you so much, Mr. Griffith, for joining us this morning and bringing your views to us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we end the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. But of course, we don't end our programming here. We head on over to Tobago Notes and then to GMT this morning. So stay with us this morning as we continue our programming. And as you stay, of course, we have to invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live. Have a good one.
What we have today is a technical rehearsal for the students, so they are being exposed to the use of the miking system here, and we also have them actually learning public speaking. So today they will have a number of persons speaking to them, and they will get accustomed standing and speaking in the Assembly Legislature. So the brainchild of this actual debate and this process is Presiding Officer Ms. Abby Taylor. She saw it fit to have the students involved at a very young age because we wanted to expose them to the governance system so they would understand what happens here and they would see how it would affect and apply to them.
My students are very excited. Actually, we all, especially the students, welcome the opportunity to participate in this debate because as students, they sometimes think that their voices are not being heard. And they have really very strong feelings concerning this SCA examination. And it is an opportunity for them to feel as if what they say, what they think, their opinions matter. So this is a very exciting time for them and they are really looking forward to it.
I'm glad for all the training sessions because it has made me more confident going into the debate.
I feel very good to see that I can get to be in the chambers for this wonderful experience, getting to meet the presiding officer, getting ready to learn the rules. I feel very good.
We at Anglican are really grateful for the opportunity because we believe that debate exposes children at this age to serious skills that they would need for life. Public speaking, listening, problem solving, and it also teaches them emotional intelligence in handling disagreements with respect.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
It's only when I go abroad and I see what is out there and I come back and I measure against what is here. There is no comparison to beauty.
In some writings of our history, it is said that Christopher Columbus called it bella fauna, meaning beautifully formed.
Natural, beautiful, peaceful. Yes, I get emotional. That's why I'm here.
One of the fascinating things about nature, there is always something new, and especially in the tropics where there's such wide diversity, persons can experience and have the awe associated with some of the beaches we have, aquatic life we have, some of the fascinating birds we have within a day, within a short period of time.
You have the Caribbean Sea on one side, you have the Atlantic Ocean on the other side. On our doorstep, a fringe reef that wraps around the entire area. You have this huge amount of biodiversity and liveliness of the entire water that surrounds the island. We also do bioluminescent nighttime tours, which are like an escape into the deep, dark secrets of this, glowing phenomenon. It's like this almost cosmic effect. It's just something to be seen.
I know everybody in the village, and everybody know me. That is the nice thing about here.
Tobago is used to the extended family. There was always a grandmother, aunt, uncle. There was always love.
We eat and we drink, we laugh, and everything together.
Tobago, in one word to me, beautiful. Beautiful place to live. It gives me great pleasure to be in Tobago and do what I do.
The sunsets here are probably bar none some of the nicest I've seen.
I would describe Tobago of one of the clean, serene, and the best place that anyone could come. Be easy, be happy, and have a good time. There is nothing to compare to.
This little dot called Tobago exists, and come visit.
No place like home, home, home.
Oh, I love Tobago, baby.
When we outside, it's an ocean of love. All that we align to the stars up above. Let we dance now, take a chance now with me. And we go jump till morning. Look, the moon gone sleeping. Tell them we not leaving till the last drop of bacchanal is madness in the capital. So I feel like I'm running tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. Wave with all my friends and them. No place like home. We go jump till the moon come down. As we who the stars shine on. Play a mass and break away. Freedom in with DNA.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, you know you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you once had while I ask those questions that you weren't asked. But before we get into this morning's conversation, let's have our news in 90 seconds.
News in 90 seconds is brought to you by Standards, never beaten on quality and prices.
The Progressive Democratic Patriots political leader Watson Duke has criticized the Tobago's healthcare system. He expressed a loss of faith in Dr. Faith B. Israel, the Secretary for Health, Wellness and Social Protection. During a press conference, Duke highlighted several tragic incidences at the Scarborough General Hospital, attributing these incidences to poor management and lack of expertise. Duke called for Dr. Faith's removal, emphasizing the need for a reliable and consistent healthcare and promising not to let these deaths be overlooked. Additionally, Minority Leader Kelvon Morris, during a press conference, criticized the Tobago's healthcare system, particularly highlighting the failure to operationalize the Roxborough Hospital. He blamed Dr. Faith B. Israel, the Secretary for the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, for inefficiencies due to the hospital's functions. Morris condemned both Dr. Faith B. Israel and the Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine, for neglecting the needs of Tobago East. He also alleged that despite requesting more funds for the Roxborough Hospital, the administration misallocates these funds. And finally, in the 2023 report of the Auditor General on the public accounts of Trinidad and Tobago, Jaiwanti Ramdas highlighted a wasteful expenditure of over 52 million on a property for the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions that was never used. Despite spending 23 million on outfitting and 29 million on rent, the building remained unoccupied due to the landlord's refusal to build a protective wall. The Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, expressed frustration over the wasted funds. The report detailed that in 2023, the Office of the Attorney General spent 17,896 on outfitting the office, renting payments totaling 29,250,000 from May 2019 to August 2023, ceased in September 2023 when the building was still vacant, and this was on News in 90 Seconds.
Need a fresh start? Upgrade your life with the things you want. At Standard Distributors in Canaan, life is good with zero. Get that amazing fridge, the stylish sofa with zero down and easy financing. Your dream house is within reach. Visit Standard Distributors today. Life is good with zero.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, guys. As we continue with this morning's discussion, we're touching a bit on some of the topics that you saw highlighted in our News in 90 Seconds. Now we're talking about the death of Nadia Shangi, a young woman from Speyside, I believe, who died and her baby died during childbirth, I guess, or while trying to give birth. So there's a lot of criticism right now that's on the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. And what we saw was a press release that came out of the division yesterday on the 27th of May, where the division would have indicated that they concluded their investigation into her death and realized that the hospital, the doctors, the nurses, the midwives, and other staffs involved categorically and undeniably did everything within their power to save her life. And the staff of the TRHA observed all the appropriate clinical pathways in providing emergency care. They also indicated that as part of the quality management system in place at the TRHA, following an incident of this nature, a meeting was held with the family together with her private doctor outlining the above. And I guess there obviously was other information that the public may not be privy to because of the limitation of this press release, and also observing the health and privacy protection of each patient. But as we get into this morning's discussion, guys, I'm talking here this morning with Max James, who formerly sat on the TRHA board.
That's correct.
Good morning, and how are you?
I am good.
Well, it's good to be good this morning.
I took a long bath last night and another one this morning.
Right.
Hoping that I would be calm, with a view towards being calm and with a view to being refreshed, in spite of the things that we see happening in our society here in Tobago. Let me state for the viewers, because some people have asked you a question, why are you doing this? The simple question is that I have 2 daughters. I have a wife. There are many pregnant women out there. There are many mothers and grandmothers who have wept, who are uneasy, because the system as it stands today have failed us. There are many families out there grieving that are concerned as to where our healthcare system is going. We elected 15 persons, and all of them, including the minority, we expect them to do the right thing. All of that, what we are seeing here, Tobagonians, it reflects our society, where people try to hide the truth. They try to kill you for not speaking the truth. It is symptomatic of the society in which we live, where cover-up is the nature of the day. I do not like cover-ups. Since I was in the trade union movement, and I'm still there in the trade union movement, I have a penchant for speaking the truth and for doing things right. As a professional, I pride myself in doing things competently. You are paid in the system to be competent. I pay you for your competence, not incompetence. I pay you as a politician or a public official to come up with policies that will redound to a better way of life in Trinidad and Tobago, because this is where we are located. So people don't like it. They feel really uncomfortable when somebody comes out and says this is wrong. If our politicians cannot say something is wrong, then who will we depend on to say something is wrong? If politicians, and I'm not pointing at anybody here now, but if politicians who make the policy, who make the public policy, cannot come out up front and say, I made a mistake, I was wrong, forgive me.
Right, and so are you joining the line behind Minority Leader Kelvin Morris and the political leader of the PDP in blaming the death of the young lady on the politicians?
I'm not lining up behind Mr. Duke. I'm not lining up behind Mr. Morris. I'm lining up behind the truth. If it turns out that they are concerned and they have the same concerns like me, then so be it. But I'm not lining up behind them. In fact, I was out front on this issue before them. So in a real sense, you could say they are lining up behind me. Let us go back and look at the history of adverse events in Trinidad and Tobago. Because it cannot be where a system is developed and a system doesn't work. In the first place, we have to go back to the beginning. Why was Roxborough Hospital developed or constructed? If it means that Roxborough is constructed and it is not fulfilling its purpose, then you have to go to the persons who exist today, who are in charge of the system today, who are not ensuring that it works in a particular kind of way. And therefore you have to hold them culpable. So the question is, the first question, why was Roxborough developed? I'll tell you why Roxborough was developed. We needed a hospital. We needed better health care. We needed to ensure that when persons in Tobago East are ill or under some kind of health challenge, they don't have to travel from Charlottesville to Scarborough. By the time they reach Scarborough, they're dead. I am from Belgarden. The Chief Secretary is from Speyside. The Secretary of Health originally is from Belgarden. Maybe she still lives there. I don't even know where she lives right now. But I think she lives in Belgarden. So we have an interest. And as I said before, I'm a citizen of Tobago. And no mother or no citizen, when you have a hospital in Roxborough, should suffer death or severe adverse and a severe adverse event. And then you say, oh God, what are you doing that for? I am paying you to do what is right. I am paying you to cover up. I'm paying you to take responsibility as the Secretary of Health, as the Chief Executive Officer, the Board of Directors, and the whole lot. You are being paid to make good policy that resonates with the people and solves their health challenges.
Okay, and when we look at the health of the young lady, because you have a number of persons saying that had the Roxborough hospital been in operation, that she would have still been alive for today. But is there any information out there, or are you aware of the actual health conditions surrounding the patient? Now, mind you, this could have been anybody else outside of her, not just her. But are you aware of her own personal conditions outside of her visit on that day that may have contributed to the culmination of events.
Right. You have to remember where I sit, and I wear many hats as an industrial relations consultant. I've solved many problems for people who have been wrongly dismissed, who wrongly, I will make the point, I'm coming around that way to make the point. I, Max James, made the last, almost, for much of it, 90% of it, settled. And then Mr. Duke came in and signed the collective agreement for doctors in the TRHA. So it's not about bashing any doctor, because I, Max James, settled, wrote it, dictated it. The collective agreement that the doctors now enjoy in the TRHA under George Bell and when he was the CEO, right? The idea that people are not wishing to do what is right, are criticizing what they see. The fact of the matter is that there are adverse events. There were adverse events even when I was there on the board, and I railed against it because some doctors did not like it. There was a specialist medical officer who I personally wrote the suspension letter for. I am doing this study. When people act irresponsibly, they must be held responsible. They must be called to book. And I wrote it. Some of the members on the board didn't want to do it. Some of them didn't want to do it because they feared the man. So I said, okay, I will do it. I wrote it. He was suspended. And the rest, how it actually panned out afterward, was very undesirable. I'm paying you, as I said in the beginning, to be competent. Let's go to Roxborough. The idea that people are saying, well, she didn't have proper antenatal care. Antenatal for the layman means birth issues prior to delivery issues. Those kinds of issues generally are what we call antenatal. So they're saying, and the press release was, women should have good antenatal care. I have heard people bash the woman and saying she was irresponsible. She didn't act responsibly. Imagine you are denigrating a woman in her death. Imagine you are denigrating a woman who can't even respond to you. But you'll come out and tell the society she acted irresponsibly. Who acted irresponsibly?
As a woman who has had a child myself and understands the importance of antenatal care, there is a level of responsibility that one must take for themselves and for the pregnancy.
Right.
And that includes seeking adequate care while you're pregnant. That includes taking your prenatal vitamins. It entails taking regular checkups, regular visits. And if we have someone that doesn't see through the entire process or the procedure, there has to be some level of responsibility that that person is able to take in the event that something does happen during the pregnancy, because they always tell you, if you do not do certain things, that you run the risk of having a high risk pregnancy.
Right.
And from what we understand, the young lady did indeed have a high-risk pregnancy. Now, we cannot absolve the TRHA from any responsibility in the matter in regards to the actual situation that took place, from her leaving her home, getting to Roxborough, from Roxborough, getting to Scarborough. But when you say people are trying to bash her...
Well, the answer wasn't finished, right?
Okay.
Right. So let's go back. Yes, you're correct that every woman has a responsibility to see after themselves. But the bashing wasn't just that, you know. That is an okay statement. Of course you must take responsibility for yourself. But it wasn't. You have to go back. In fact, the records will show that the woman was being seen by an obstetrician. There's evidence, Tobagonians, there's evidence out there that Ms. Shangi was being seen by an obstetrician. So they want to counter that. They're saying, well, she wasn't in the system. Let me tell you, I have 6 children. All of them, I did not go into the system from the time I found out my wife was pregnant. Some of the people who I went to when my wife was pregnant was Dr. Singh and other doctors in the past. So it is quite proper. It is quite proper for any woman. In fact, I dare say it's even perhaps the best thing. Stand corrected on this one. But I dare say it's perhaps the best thing to have a gynecologist, OBGYN, of course, an obstetrician to see about you because they have the competencies. And that is what the woman did.
Right.
To pay to that nonsense that they're spewing on somebody who can't answer, who is dead now, and the child is dead, and you say nonsense, talking nonsense, well, she didn't come into the system and she didn't have proper antenatal care.
Mr. James, even myself,
not so fast.
I can also relate because I was not in the public
you were in the system
clinical
too.
system.
Right.
However, there's a difference when you have a regular or a healthy pregnancy as opposed to having a high-risk pregnancy. Even when you have a high-risk pregnancy and you go to a private doctor, they always refer you to the Scarborough General Hospital.
And that is what was done. In fact, there's evidence. I'm not at liberty to produce the evidence, but there is evidence that she was under the care of a very competent obstetrician. I know the gentleman.
And was she referred to the Scarborough
And then she was referred to the Scarborough. But let me talk about the gentleman first. I know him quite well. He was in our system. He's one of the most excellent surgeons I know. I protected him. I fought matters for him. When people were against him, people left here in Tobago and went down to his clinic in Trinidad to seek his expertise. So I could guarantee the public that the woman had excellent obstetric care. She was under his care. In fact, the same gentleman was in the meeting that the TRHA called to discuss with the parents and the relatives of the deceased. Right? They don't like the guy. So when, in fact, she was instructed through his pen to be admitted, some incompetent person in the system did not do their duty. And therefore she was not admitted. If a doctor says, an obstetrician, or in the case of the pregnant woman says, admit, you have to admit, or give a good reason why you're not going to admit. Let us speak the truth now for once in our life.
So explain to me exactly what you're saying. She was referred to the Scarborough General Hospital by the private doctor.
By the private doctor.
And the Scarborough
who was an obstetrician.
Right. And the Scarborough General Hospital refused her as a patient in the clinic.
Well, I want the Secretary of Health to investigate that. I want the Chief Secretary to investigate that. She who died is his constituent or was his constituent. I want the CEO to answer that question. Moreover, I want the chairman of the board of directors to answer that question. Let us move to another item.
Excellent. Now, let's talk a bit more about the Roxborough Hospital, because there's an argument in the public space that had the hospital been at optimal functioning, that the young lady's life would have been saved. Can we truly say that she would have been alive for today if the hospital was open? Do we have the power to say that?
I heard two persons, and this is the God in heaven here truths, because people tend to say that you're telling lies. But the truth is, in fact, a person said, oh, you know, she walked in there with a hemoglobin count of 2. So I told the person, well, that is impossible. She would have died. There's nobody could stand up and walk into a facility with a blood count of 2. You can't even get up. The evidence is that she walked into the Roxborough Hospital. The evidence is that, and I want the Secretary of Health to tell us what role, if any, she has played in this particular imbroglio, in this particular mess. Because you have, let me tell you what exists, let people know what exists at Roxborough. I have been a patient there many times. My wife has been a patient there many times. One of the best services you could get anywhere in the Caribbean. but they could not do the cesarean surgery. And the Secretary of Health must tell us why. It is her responsibility. She can't get away from it. The chairman of the board of directors must tell us, and the secretary and the chief secretary must investigate what role she had or her board had in respect of the denial of certain kinds of surgeries at Roxborough. I suspect we have much to answer on that particular question. And the chief executive officer, too, who is an ex-officio member of the board. So you have the Secretary of Health, you have the board of directors and the chairman, you have a doctor on the board, you have the chief executive officers. But at Roxborough, you have two gynecologists, Dr. Singh, Dr. Jagannath, and you have about a dozen other professionals, 2 other SMOs, and a lot of other doctors who also, before you become a doctor, you must have one module, have to have some experience, some training, on-the-job training in theater management and all of that. And if their services were called upon, so again, Tobago, we have two doctors trained in obstetrics and gynecology, waiting and was ready to assist with the surgery. What I'm saying to you, the woman and her baby would have had a fighting chance.
Understood.
If it is that the system did not debar surgeries relating to cesarean interventions, you hear me? There is evidence that exists today that those kinds of surgeries were denied. And therefore, our pregnant women, if you're in a problem now from St. Charleville, and an intervention has to be made requiring cesarean procedure, you won't get it. And that is most what you call egregious. That's a big word, meaning appalling and shocking and evil and wicked. That you have a hospital, but a simple, which is routine today. You can't get a cesarean intervention or service or operation at the Roxborough Hospital. The secretary must tell us that. The chairman of the board of directors must tell us that, and the CEO must tell us that, and the chief secretary ultimately must inquire into it. But we'll come back to that after the break.
Yes. Guys, stay with us. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back right after this.
Tobago, we reached the biggest comedy event of 2024, finally in Tobago for one night only at Shaw Park.
My body, and I'm not in the mood.
Yeah, but you haven't been in the mood for the last 6 months. Love is a Walk, which played to sold-out houses across Trinidad, is coming to Tobago for one night only on Saturday, June 8th at 8:30 p.m.
You promised this would be the last time.
Yes, I tell you it's the last time, I swear.
You sure about that?
Tickets for Love is a Walk available at the Shaw Park Complex daily and at advertised outlets. Check social media for details. Shaw Park, Saturday, June 8th.
Shoutouts Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. More, live more. Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates, guys. We have been talking about the healthcare system on the island of Tobago, and as you know, that issue that came up and that has been a topic of discussion over the last couple of days as the TRHA has concluded their investigation into the death of Nadia Shangi. We're talking a bit about that, and we're talking about the readiness, the preparedness of the health system on the island to deal with women and pregnancy, birth, labor, and a host of other things. Now, one of the things that continue to be the topic of discussion is the readiness, the preparedness of the Roxborough Hospital to not only be open 24/7, but to also be able to facilitate a number of these emergency surgeries, one of them being that C-section intervention that many persons are of the opinion would have saved the life of Miss Shangi. Now, I don't think that Roxborough is just not functioning because they don't want it to function. There must be some sort of underlying reason, I suggest, why the hospital is not allowed to have these surgeries or be open 24/7. I don't want to speculate. I don't know. But I believe that we need to get the secretary in here in an interview and ask her directly, why is it that the hospital is not able to facilitate these surgeries? But from your perspective, what do you think could be hindering them from moving forward in that way during this time?
So, let us go to the secretary's own words. She spoke in the House last Thursday, and she gave, if I remember clearly, and I stand corrected, Madam Secretary, I'm not here to bash you, as you may be wont to think. I'm here to ensure that I hold your feet to the fire to make proper policy for Tobago, and it's my right, and every citizen's right. But I will not allow you, because you fail to put in place a policy or any policy that eventually could endanger the life of women in particular, because we talk about pregnancies in our society. The secretary should have said, I would scream to the top of my voice and whatever, things like that. And so yes, it's not open 24 hours. How long has been the secretary in office for? with 2 years and go in and time running out. So if the secretary believes that there are hindrances, well, let me continue what she says. And she said that they had to break out rooms and to make space bigger or larger or wider. That's a lie. Roxbury's walls were never reconstructed to make no space or nothing. And even if that was so, that's a bogus reason, Madam Secretary, to come to the people and tell people the reason why Roxbury moved on a 24 basis because some rooms didn't have no space. Like 2 years. You have to do it better. So like me or love me, or hate me, sorry. Love me or hate me. It ain't changing the perspective for women out there who don't believe that that's a valid reason. Because you have 2 years to have to fix that. She ought to have had a clarification meeting and identify those things that were a hindrance to Roxbury open on 24 hours. That's her duty. I'll go further.
I think one of the things that we need to address is the stigma against women who go to private care. If you know, you know, when it comes to how you are treated when you eventually go to a public clinic or even go to have a child, and the system recognizes you as being a private patient as opposed to being a patient of public health care, because they always, they encourage you, even though you go to a private practice, to still come into the system so that there is a paper trail in regards to you as a client. Even if you bring your file from the private healthcare, they want to have their own records. How do you think we should be able to bridge the gap between women having the right and seeking private care and being in this system for their own good?
And that is why when people who have the money go to a private practitioner or private health institutions such as Sinclair and West Shore and these places. I have been there too. I had my health challenges. Is that the system should not reject you or stigmatize you because that's your right. In fact, if the public system was operating so good under good and sound public policy, people would not have to go to a private practitioner because the system has failed us. The system has failed us in many ways where you want to cover it up. But I'm saying, going back to the woman who walked in, they did all they had to do, but there was this, I should put it, there's this something that says we can't and we won't do cesarean interventions up here. That must be wrong. And I'm saying this, so if that was allowed, again to repeat for those who came in, you have Dr. Singh, Dr. Jagannath, everybody knows who they are. You have a battery of professionals up there who have theater experience that could have intervened because the woman had to leave Roxbury, put in an ambulance, travel down to Scarborough, and the baby died within the space of an hour. When within half an hour, could have been an intervention at Roxbury right there. Then she come now after her baby died, and that too. And people vex because I'm saying, talking about, I have an interest, you have an interest, you went to a private professional to see about your baby and so on. That's your right. If the system is failing us, we will find out why. No, I'm telling the TRHA, not so fast. To come and issue such a worthless and wicked and evil public statement communication, the whole board should be fired. Because it ends so. You are now investigating yourself. You saying you had your investigations, that is not for you to do. 2 persons died. Let me explain it even better. There's only one set of people in this country and around the world that could cut people legally, are doctors. Or in some very minor cases, a nurse. A doctor has the legal right and ability, under the law to cut somebody illegally, to cut somebody. But it must be done competently. If you do it incompetently, then you could be charged for negligence and incompetence. So we have people legally designated to do surgeries, and they must be given the wherewithal to. The public must be able to access them. And I'm putting it out there to Madam Secretary and the board of directors, because she may feel I'm attacking her. I'm not attacking her, but she may feel so. Her friends may feel so. Her relatives might feel so, because we know what? We can't call it for what it is. We are afraid in this country to call things for what they are. So when the chief secretary is talking about crime, if this crime is covered up, it's a waste of time talking about crime. If we're covering up at the level of the executive, and I believe it's a cover up, because you can't authorize that kind of public communication and then blame it on the woman. She went into the public system. She had a letter from a doctor. There's evidence that she had something out there, and the system did not accept her. She went to the Roxborough Hospital. They can't do surgeries. Then they transferred to Tongue. By the time she reached Tongue, within an hour and a half, the baby dead and the woman dead. And I'm telling all the parents out here, all the families in Tobago, if that happened to Miss Shangi, it could happen to you too. Or you had to pick a side. You had to pick a side of competence or incompetence. You had to pick a side that should say, listen, we must do this right and people must be held responsible. Did the secretary hold any clarification meeting as to find out why Roxborough can't go 24 hours? It's her call. Did the secretary hold a clarification meeting with the people at Roxborough and the people in Scarborough? We have heard, and there is evidence to show she had to go and find it. Why the staff, why Roxborough is not equipped with midwives? There are midwives from Charlottesville right down to Goodwood that are living in the area. You either call them back on contract. So if you're saying that is another barrier to opening, then employ them. They are willing to come back into the system, or you tell them, you give them an incentive. Listen, we want Roxborough open, we want to do surgeries up here. Here what's going on. I got to pay all the X dollars for the first year until we recruit people and all go back into retirement. The police do it. They bring back old policemen to help them with the problems of crime. So don't go to the house and say something that is not true. Let her come here and ask the direct questions. I hope she could answer them truthfully. In my time in the house, as an assemblyman, as a former secretary, I couldn't do that in the house. None of us were permitted under Mr. Hochul to do what she did on Thursday, because it either been dismissed or severely reprimanded. You come to the house, you speak the truth. If you have to apologize, you apologize, and that's the end of the matter. It's so simple, you know. What is the fear? Okay, I didn't do it. And give me truthful reasons why you didn't do something on any matter. Whether it's agriculture, whether it's labor, whether it's tourism, whatever. Listen, we could have done this better. But these are the truthful barriers and inhibitions why we couldn't get it done. And people understand because they know you're telling the truth and you're sincere. But don't try to hide it. What did the board do? The board must tell us its role as to why surgeries were, certain kinds of surgeries, let me qualify that, were not done or prevented from being done at Roxborough. It's a public question that must be answered.
Understood. And in your perspective, given the situation surrounding Nadia Shangi's death, and persons having their opinion about the fact that she didn't seek the adequate antenatal care, and there's a lot of accusations going back and forth, what role do you think women can play moving forward to ensure, even as they live in Tobago and may not have access to private health care or to even have their baby privately, what do you suggest they do to ensure that when they get into the system, they don't fall into the same trap?
Well, it's so simple, You have the village councils, you have all the action groups, you have political action groups, you have constituency offices, you have a lot of social units and institutions that you can go to, or you could march. You could go and hold a flag and demonstrate in Roxborough Hospital. You could go by the office of the secretary up Glen Road, 50, 20, 30, 40, 100 of the women and say, listen, fix this. We can't talk about political party and the political party has operatives who are not doing it right, are doing it wrong. You are put there not based on your own ideas and your whims and fancies. You are put there to solve the problems of the people who put you there. And you alone don't have the ideas. I don't have all the ideas. None of us have all the ideas. But I expect people who say that they will do this, to do it. And you must report to us occasionally. Well, last year the secretary have a meeting with the entire board of directors. What is her running agenda? If she had a running agenda, this thing would have been picked up. When I was on the board with Claudia Groom-Duke, she met with us every month as a rule. There was a running agenda. We knew everything. And our board was tough till people didn't like us because a lot of the adverse events, you had adverse events, it's public knowledge, I could speak of it. You had an adverse event with a woman from Charville called Rose Gordon. She died because of the income. That's when I wrote the suspension letter to a particular SMO. And then between, I want the public to hear this, between October last year to date, there have been 5, perhaps even more, adverse events. Let the truth come out. Adverse events that should not have occurred. Does the secretary know about it? Does she tell us? We're supposed to know. So it's not something to hide, you know. Any adverse event that happens to a human body when they get caught, when they get mutilated, when their baby die or they die, the public has a right to know. I stand by that. I have no fear of contradiction. Nobody ain't paying my bills. Nobody ain't doing anything. I will stand up because I have 2 daughters in the society here too, you know. And I would be very much afraid that they come under this kind of system that has not been fixed yet. A hospital must be able to do cesarean sections and other type surgeries like that. Yeah, and it should not prevent it. So I am calling one more time, this time to the Chief Secretary. Let us have a proper inquiry as to what all the circumstances that took place. It is not for the board to investigate itself and say we did some investigations and we have reasons as to, and then you blame a dead woman. It is wrong. It is just plain wrong. And I'm saying to the Chief Secretary and to everybody in Tobago, let us call. Let Max James alone do it. The family wants support too. The lady, the baby that died and the mother that died, they want support too. Because if it was all your children, if it was the Chief Secretary and all the other secretaries' children, all hell might have broken loose. And so I'm saying we need to have that inquiry. It's a breach of the laws of natural justice that you investigate yourself and put a statement outside there. Not so fast. Let us have a commission of inquiry or the people who came from Paho that investigated the 11 or so deaths of children in Trinidad. I'm calling the Prime Minister to extend the terms of reference to investigate this one too. It must be investigated. It is not acceptable by any stretch of imagination that somebody come into the public system. So Scarborough might not have been so guilty, but what happened, go back to the end of it and see where it started. It started on that day in Roxborough. Had surgeries been allowed or to be undertaken, the woman and her baby, one of them might have survived, or both of them, because in hospital and people care, medicine and that kind of thing, health management, is what we call a critical window. So if it is that critical window passed, then you have 2 dead people. But so if Roxborough was part of the critical window, was allowed to do that kind of intervention, one of them who died would have had a fighting chance. That's the point.
Guys, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back right after this. See you soon.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tapago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tapago's at your service.
She ride the wave, come jump in the range, and drop money that much money mean. Don't need your love, that I cost me fi pay. Like King Solomon, a bag a girl to me name. Every girl broke out, Lord, broke out. Me say hot girl, understand your time fi step out. Big bumper girl, your time fi get strap out. Hand on your knee, you treat a girl and your body. And every girl get wild out tonight. Party in my out tonight. If she suck me a fine out tonight. I even know that a wild out tonight. Out the blue light, fi a try out the back.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Need a fresh start? Upgrade your life with the things you want. At Standard Distributors in Canaan, life is good with zero. Get that amazing fridge, the stylish sofa with zero down and easy financing. Your dream house is within reach. Visit Standard Distributors today. Life is good with zero.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, guys. As we wrap up this morning's conversation on the healthcare system here in Tobago, I'm still chatting with Mr. Max James, who is a former member of the TRHA board. And so this morning we discussed a lot, but as we look forward in the future, how do we move forward and ask for progress while trying our best not to instill fear in expectant mothers? Because as these situations occur, could you imagine mothers that are probably 8 months pregnant or just a couple of days short of giving birth, how that level of anxiety that must be building just thinking about going into the hospital and all that can go wrong?
So you see, the Chief Secretary is at the most eastern end of our country, or island here in Tobago. He have pregnant women. I sure it have a couple pregnant women between Charlottesville, Lansome, Speyside. You have Watson Duke has pregnant women in his constituent too. All secretaries right now are pregnant women. So I don't even have to say much more. But the fact of it is that they must get together and say, let cesarean interventions occur in Roxborough. Let the hospital fully open in Roxborough. Put the resources there. There's no reason. There's no administrative reason. You want midwives, find them and get them. Bring them in from wherever. You want doctors? We have a lot of professionals from Tobago who have been in the system and are ready and willing to work. They must take a decision today to say, do whatever is necessary. So by today or by this evening, because you have professionals here too, working up there too, that could do cesarean, an instruction must be sent out. What do they say? Expose factor? Everybody Latin term. Should be sent out with immediate effect to reverse that foolish decision. So any pregnant woman should by this evening have access to a cesarean service in Roxborough. Any pregnant woman who falls prey to some mishap. Stop TRHA blaming the woman and castigating the woman's name in the public. Withdraw the secretary. They want to make a start. The secretary should give a directive that appalling communication sent out from the board of directors or approved. Otherwise, I will blame her for approving it. If she can pull it back, then she has to take the blame for that communication where a dead woman is being, her name is spread through the society as being responsible for her own death. She did not. She came into the system rejected her. She was sent by an obstetrician who maybe they didn't like, and she was not given the original public interventions. She went to Roxborough. Roxborough couldn't do it. They tried their best to fix her. They put you in an ambulance. She tongue, she dead. We have a hospital. A directive can be given. Roxborough, based on my investigations, can be open right now on a 24. You have to have the political strength and will to do what is right. Okay? And I'm saying, even if you want to do 24 hours, every woman who is pregnant must have the facility and the ability and everything that goes with that to go to the hospital, get the surgery if necessary, and don't blame it on a woman who can't even defend herself because she's dead. So if I have to go and fight up now to get justice, we should not. It's a bad practice finally. Because when I was about, I used to tell them, don't tell me what a lawyer, a family had to go and take a lawyer to fight the system. If we're wrong, we're wrong. Don't tell me a woman had to go, a family had to go and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars to hire a lawyer and to go through the court system and take years when you could fix it. Admit your responsibility, fix it, do whatever is necessary today, and withdraw that egregious or appalling, wicked public communication. It is just plain wrong. It's unacceptable. If you want to talk about crime, then you have to fix the crime inside.
Understood. Guys, unfortunately, we come to the end of our broadcast here this morning. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting, and being a part of this morning's discussion. Guys, again, thank you for making Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster on the island of Tobago. Guys, see you soon. Later.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.